What is up, Traeger Nation? Happy holidays. I could not be any happier to be with you tonight. My name is Dennis Prescott. I'm a chef, cookbook author, and the host of Restaurants on the Edge on Netflix. And I am joining you tonight from the east coast of Canada, the chilly, cold, starting to feel like the holidays, east coast of Canada, in a place called Moncton, New Brunswick, or just outside. I'm going to cook tonight with you, hang out. Maybe we'll have a drink together. If you have a drink, cheers. And hopefully we'll learn a little bit and have a little bit of fun. Oh, I know we're going to have fun for sure. So I'm hanging out here with my friend, my camera guy, my confidant, Mark. So if you hear somebody asking questions, just so you know, it's not a random person from the sky shouting down questions. It is Mark. So feel free to ask Mark any questions that you would like as well. More specifically, we are going to cook some delicious food. So a little setup, a little lay of the land as we get started. It is winter in the east coast of Canada, or basically almost winter. It feels like winter anyway. Got a little bit of snow happening outside right now, just kind of drifting in. It is minus 15 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure how that translates to Fahrenheit in my Canadian part of the world, but it is cold. So we are inside right now, mostly because it's dark, of course, because it is the evening and because of the weather. That said, everything that we cooked today was prepared on an Ironwood 885. It's absolutely my favorite grill. I love the Ironwood. Have every, lots of other grills within the lineup, but the Ironwood has always been my favorite, specifically the 885. If you've never heard of that specific grill, I highly recommend, go check it out. I love it. I think it's great. Timberline's great. They're all great. Whatever you have access to, wood pellet, wood fire deliciousness, just makes your food so much better, as you guys know, as a part of Traeger Nation. So we're using a few different pellets tonight across the board. We have got some alder pellets, we've got some apple pellets, and what's not up here is cherry as well. So, they're specific to the recipe. They make sense with the recipe, and they really highlight the flavors both in the pellet itself, really bring out beautiful flavors in the food. Of course, as always, all of these recipes are easily accessible both at Traeger.com and on the Traeger app. So if you don't have the Traeger app, we're going to cook, but I'm going to take 2 seconds to say you need to download that Traeger app. It is such a game changer. There's hundreds of recipes on there, ones that are going to help you over the next few weeks during the holiday season, and ones that just help you all of the time. That app is made to help you be a better cook and to get the most out of your grill as absolutely possible. So if you don't have the app, download it literally right now while we're doing this. If you have it, I know, because I love it, I know how much you're going to love it. And I know how much it affects your daily cook with your grill. So we've got 3 beautiful recipes tonight. Some of my favorites. One of them takes a little love and care. 2 of them really easy, but incredibly delicious. So when it comes to the holiday season, for me, I love making finger food, handheld food, things that are easy, that are elegant, but are also super delicious. And that, a lot of them can be made well in advance. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to pull this in, but we are going to do a duck confit crostini. Sounds very fancy, but it's not. So we've got all of our elements here. Duck confit, if you've never heard of duck confit before, it's a very kind of, I grew up on the east coast of Canada. So growing up here, there is a very large French Acadian population that I've been really fortunate to grow up around, which means that I have had, a steady diet for most of my life while I've been here, eating food that's been influenced by French food. So delicious, very elegant, but often, country rustic style French food is typically the most delicious. You can have very fancy fine dining dishes, but that rustic country style food, everybody falls in love with it. It's easy to pull off, and really it's a crowd pleaser, and tastes incredibly delicious because it's packed full of flavor. Confit is one of those things. So we've got duck confit. What that means in the bare bones of what confit means, it's cooking something very low, very slow in fat. That fat then solidifies and hardens around that protein, and then you're able to store it. You can vac pack it, and then you can heat it for later use. So we've got 2 duck confit legs here. And they look just like this. Beautiful, golden, super crispy skin. All we need it to do is we pop these on the Traeger for about 8 to 10 minutes. I like to do that somewhere around 375 degrees, right around there, on my grill. And like I said, 8 to 10 minutes, basically just until that skin gets nice and crispy, just like you can see it here. And then it's easily shreddable because, like I said, it's already cooked. So you can see here, the cooking process has been done for us. Now, if you have access to, I have access to, like I said, these products because of where I am in the world. If you don't have a specialty market where you can easily go out and purchase duck leg confit or something like that, it's so easy to make, honestly. Very easy, incredible on the Traeger because it would take all of that smoke in while you low and slow cook this at the same time. So an absolute game changer. In a pinch, if you don't have the time to do that, this works as well. So really, at the end of the day, we're using the grill regardless. So, a couple forks. If you've ever made pulled pork, you know how this goes. We're just going to easily shred it. Look how easy that comes off this bone. It is an incredible protein to work with as well. I think folks are often really kind of nervous about duck. I typically like to say that if you need to taste something cooked properly to know whether you like it or not. I think often we have food that's not cooked properly and we make a decision that we don't enjoy that food. Give it a second try. Go in deep. Often cooking it yourself and following those techniques that are easy but that really make sense is the best way to go. So really, we're just going to shred this here. The nice thing is, this could be done in advance and just warmed in a pan, but it takes no time anyway. So, it's a pretty a la minute kind of recipe to make. And very easy to do.
Hey, can you use something other than duck?
Can you use something other than duck? Absolutely. Any poultry, obviously, turkey, chicken is great. You can get really experimental, and that's what I love about food. You can get really experimental, and you can find those new, exciting flavors that you can put to use in your own kitchen. Try duck if it's not your thing. Try chicken. Everybody loves chicken. Try chicken. You're probably going to love that. So there's so many alternatives, which to me, that's the best thing in the world. This, very elegant, very different. And that's what I like too. We're in the holiday season. You bring out all the stops. It's a great way to do that. And we're doing that with our main today. It's kind of a showstopper, kind of a dish, but it's well worth it during this time of year. Most of us are cooking for smaller crowds, of course, based on everything going on in the world, but you want to make sure that dish is just as exciting, just as beautiful, and just as delicious as all of those kind of big feast style meals that we're typically used to having. So really, we're just going to shred this out. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to keep this for later. That's going to be my midnight snack because I can. So we've got these beautiful slices of baguette here. Really simple: olive oil, salt, pepper on a grill till they develop these beautiful grill marks, get nice and golden. That's easy. The fun bit of this is this beautiful red onion jam that we've got here. So basically, to me, red onions are one of the most beautiful things in the world. They become sweet and beautiful and luscious and delicious when you cook them down. So if you've ever made caramelized onions, you know that it takes a while. Often in recipes, it might say 15, 20 minutes. You're really 40, 45 minutes to get that proper golden caramelized, because you want it to be cooked really low and slow. And absolutely, this can be done on a Traeger. Pop a pan on the grill, butter, onions. This has garlic in it. You want a little bit of sugar and salt in this as well. Red wine vinegar and wine itself, red wine itself. Like I said, of course, as always, recipes are on TraegerGrills.com and on the app. So no need to write any of this down. You can go get it later. But really, you can see that beautiful caramelized color that comes out in this. They taste so sweet, I wish that they developed an app where you could taste this through this camera, because these are incredible and can be made ahead. Pop them in a pan on the grill, warm them up while you've got your grill good to go. The fat that has congealed on this, that's solidified, is gonna loosen. It's gonna taste beautiful. The warm up, great, perfect. And I love the do ahead thing. This on a sandwich, on a burger, lights out. So delicious.
So speaking of making ahead, Can you buy the duck confit ahead of time and just warm it up on the Traeger?
Absolutely. So the question is, can you buy the duck confit ahead of time? Of course, absolutely. You can't really this. You know, if you're doing this duck confit this way, this is a version that only takes about 8 to 10 minutes on the grill. So, you know, everybody's got 8 to 10 minutes to warm something up. If you're doing it yourself, that's a more labor-intensive process. It's not hard. It just takes a lot more time. At the end of the day, though, if you want to make your life as easy as possible, all of this can be reheated, which I love. Because right now, we want to spend more time with the people we love than we do in the kitchen, but we also want to spend time at the grill making the best food possible. So it's a great way to get the best out of the holiday season. So really, all we're going to do is just build our crostinis. Super easy. Crostinis, I think, are great because they're it's finger food, but you can make them your own. It's next level. It's not that, you know, it's not that crude, that vegetable tray that we're used to having. It's way next level, and I love that. So we're on here. We've got a beautiful herb goat cheese. Your favorite goat cheese works super well here. I love ones that have shallots, garlic, different herbs in there. Great. On top of this, with a little bit of this beautiful duck confit, it's going to fall off a little bit. That's okay. We're going to go on with some of our red onion jam here. And for color and deliciousness, a little bit of pomegranate arrows that come on top of that. And look how beautiful that looks. It looks to me like the holidays. Like, it looks festive to me. So easy to throw together. Guaranteed, you make this for the people that you love, they will love you. It tastes so, so, so good. So we're gonna go in for a little bite. I love crunch. Oh, that is so good. It's a little sweet, incredibly savory. The jam itself, the red onions, cuts the intensity of the duck. The cheese is beautiful, luscious. The sweetness from the pomegranate, it's lights out. This is a great dish. You can mix this up any way you like, but make something like this holiday season. I know you're gonna love it.
So if we're gonna mix it up, what other types of cheeses could we use on that besides goat's cheese?
I think that you can use basically any soft cheese. So, you know, I know that there's some folks who, I wish you guys, this is so good. I know that there's some folks who don't prefer goat cheese, and that's more than okay. Anything that's easily spreadable, you'll be good to go. Some people like a really very soft brie. Something like that would work really, really well. Really, just it's your preference. Mix it up, but it's going to work really great. If it happens to have that garlic, that shallot, that chive, those kind of flavors, that is going to work incredibly well with a dish like this. Okay, so do we have any questions, Mr. Mark?
That's it.
Perfect. So we're going to move on. I am going to push this over here because now the pièce de résistance. So
we do have a question that just came in.
perfect.
You want it?
Hit me up.
So, is that dish, the crostinis, served hot, or is it all at room temperature?
So I would do this. It works great either way. Honestly, I feel like it works great either way. If it's served hot, it's going to be delicious. If it's served room temperature, more than fine. You don't want to serve it cold, would be my only recommendation. That heat really brings out those flavors. More importantly, because the duck has so much fat from the confit, it will solidify quickly when it gets cold. So you don't want that. You don't want a piece of fat in there, just a textural thing. And the onions as well, because there is butter in there. It is going to solidify as well, and that's why you want to reheat them before serving, but room temperature is more than fine. Perfect. All right. Oh, I'm excited about this one. So, beef tenderloin. I don't know how much I can express how much I love beef tenderloin, but I'm going to try. I love it. It's delicious. It is the ultimate celebration, however, unless you're doing a prime rib maybe, in the beef world. It is an expensive cut of meat. It's an investment. So really, it's one of those dishes, you know, I might have, if I'm fortunate enough to, once a year. That would be it. So you want to cook it properly. If you're going to cook a dish, you really want to make sure that you are cooking it right, cooking it to temp, putting everything you can into it to make it as delicious as possible for the people you're feeding. It's not a dish you want to mess up. And I know you guys know that because you cook on your Traegers, you want to get the most flavor out of everything that you cook. This is one of those cuts of meat. It's not something that you can leave and walk away for the day from. You have to keep an eye on it. As always, with recipes, you cook to temp, not to time. So this, you know, with beef tenderloin, there is zero or very little room for margin of error. With something like pulled pork, you want to make sure you pull it off at the exact right temperature. But if you leave it for 5 minutes extra, you're probably going to be okay. Worst case scenario. You don't want to do that, but worst case scenario. With a tenderloin, it might be the difference between medium and medium rare or medium well. And then it's your preference on a cut that you spend a lot of money on. So what I would recommend, of course, use that Traeger temp probe to your benefit. Make sure that you're temping this out exactly to how you want it cooked. I know how I prefer it cooked. You might like it a little more rare or a little more well done. That's your preference, but just make sure you keep an eye on it because you really want it cooked properly. Because like I say, it is an investment. It's the centerpiece often of many feast dishes, so you really want it to be that. You want it to be cooked properly. That said, that's not me trying to scare you. That's just me trying to set you up for success on something that can really be a showstopper of a dish this holiday season. So you would just want to treat it carefully. That said, it's simple to cook. Once you know what you're doing, it's very, very easy. So we're going to prep one right now.
So while you're prepping, we got 2 questions.
Yes.
What are you drinking?
Mm-hmm.
And did you pair it with the food? And what Traeger are you using in the cold? About this person -5 Celsius.
Perfect. So the question was, first off, what Traeger am I using in the cold? I'm using the Ironwood 885. It works perfect in the cold. I need to tell you that, you know, where we are, it's such a beautiful part of Canada. I'm so fortunate to be from here. And over the last year, without, you know, not traveling, I've spent, of course, a lot more time here, and I've really fallen back in love with where I'm from. That said, it is incredibly cold here, and it will be, you know, I'm terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at the Celsius versus to Fahrenheit conversion, even though I spend most of my time in the United States. But, you know, it will often be -15, -20, -25 degrees for weeks on end. So that said, my Ironwood works perfectly no matter how cold it is. It's literally what I cook everything on, from chocolate chip cookies and apple pie to something like a beef tenderloin. It is my oven. I cook everything on it. It's of course my grill too, but I use it for everything. And I highly recommend that you do that if you have access to a Traeger, regardless of where you are. If you're in California or Florida or on the East Coast of Canada like I am, or, you know, or in Tennessee where I lived for a few years, use your Traeger for everything because it just makes everything better. And what am I drinking? So I am drinking a local beer by a local brewery called Pump House. This is a cream ale. It's light, it's easy drinking. And I love being able to support local microbreweries. We are into the outskirts of our city as well, so it's also the only thing we have access to. That said, it is delicious. So we're going to prep this beef tenderloin. First, we're going to make a rub. So again, reminder, this is all going to be on TraegerGrills.com and the app, so you can have access to this. I love cooking with coffee and espresso, combined with a sweet element like brown sugar. I think that it's an incredible pairing. We don't cook with coffee enough. Of course, it's the thing we drink. Most of us drink at least a cup every day. I drink about 15, as you can tell. But it's one of those things that we don't think about using in the kitchen as a flavoring agent, but it is so good. So incredibly delicious with pork and incredibly delicious with beef. And I love to marry that, like I said, with something like a brown sugar and then a beautiful spice. So tonight we're doing this with a coriander rub with espresso and brown sugar. We're gonna add some lemon in here for citrus as well. This is a knockout spice rub. I highly recommend that you make this. It works on about a million things in a million different ways. And of course it stores super well in an airtight container. So you can make it when you have that extra 10 minutes in your day, pop it in an airtight container and it's good to go anytime that you're making, you know, pork, beef. It's great on fish too. And 15 other things I haven't thought about that you probably are thinking right now, but I love it. So I use it all the time. So we're just gonna go in here with a bowl, or in here with a bowl with this coriander mixture. We've got our beautiful fresh ground espresso in here as well from a local coffee house called Epic, who roasts just about the best coffee that I've ever tasted. And they're not paying me to say that. And then we're gonna go in with lemon zest. Lemon zest is something that, you know, we wanna be as sustainable as possible in the kitchen. We wanna make sure we're not wasting anything. So we wanna use the juice of a lemon, but also the zest. Often you don't want the juice because you don't want that extra liquid and that extra moisture in your dish. The zest itself is gonna give it that fragrance, that beautiful citrus flavor without having any of the juice. So it's a win-win. It's more sustainable. We're cutting down on our waste and cutting down on our food cost as it is, but we're also making sure that we're adding this deliciousness in the right way possible. So we're gonna go in with the zest of about half of this lemon.
We had a question about the cold. Are you using an insulated over heat, or are you just going just the grill?
So sometimes yes, sometimes no, honestly. That is truthfully, because we're on Traeger Live and I don't lie on Traeger Live. I don't lie anywhere, but I definitely don't lie on Traeger Kitchen Live. Sometimes I forget to put the blanket on. And it might take an extra like 1-2 minutes to heat up. It might not, honestly, because I kind of walk away and I leave it, and when I see smoke, I go back and go to it. I've never had a problem. And which is to say, if my grill starts here, your grill starts where you live, unless you live very, very, very far north in Canada, in which case it probably still starts perfectly every time, but I've never had an issue either way. The blanket certainly helps, and if you have one, I would highly recommend using it. I'm just admitting that sometimes I'm a little forgetful with it, but if you have one, definitely use it. I've never had a problem either way.
And just, can you tell us what flavor pellets you're using again, and for each?
Perfect. So what flavor pellets are we using today? So we're using some of my favorites. With the duck, we are using our alder. So because growing up on the east coast of Canada, of course, we have fish and seafood abundant here. And it's a really, you know, a staple part of East Coast food and our diet, which is an incredibly fortunate thing, that we have access to all of that deliciousness. I find for me that alder is the best thing for that, and why I'm using it with the duck as well. It's a gentle smoke. You still get that beautiful smoky flavor, but it's more of a gentle smoke, and it pairs beautifully, like I said, with seafood and with shellfish. With what we're doing right now with the beef tenderloin, we're going to use cherry. We don't have the cherry on here, like I said, right now, but we are going to use cherry. And then, of course, for our last dish, we're going to use apple. And we'll get into that down the road. And you had a second question for me, Mark.
Nope.
You did not have a second question for me, Mark. Perfect. So, this smells incredible. You get the coffee, you get the coriander, it's all coming together. I love it. I'm gonna move this over here, and we're just gonna move this, so hopefully you guys can see that perfectly. So we've got center cut beef tenderloin right here. It has already been trimmed. So you wanna make sure, if you can, you wanna make sure that you get the entire beef tenderloin that's not already broken down. You can't always find that. Really, it depends on where you live, of course, what you have access to and what's at your local butcher shop. If you have access to getting the entire beef tenderloin, it's more cost effective, it costs you less money, and you get more pound of meat per cost kg. So I highly recommend it. There's a lot of meat on there that you can use in different ways. We tonight are cooking just the center cut of this actual tenderloin. Like I said though, if you have access, you know, it's already broken down. If you have access to the whole tenderloin and it's not broken down, yeah, it takes a little time, a little effort. It's so worth it. And like I said, it costs you less money, so win-win across the board. I think a lot of folks get a little nervous when they hear about trussing or they hear about tying off beef or anything. in general. And they think that it's something only a butcher can do at a butcher shop or a chef in a professional restaurant. Certainly not the case. It's very, very easy. If you've ever tied shoes, you can tie off a cut of beef. And we're gonna do it right now. And I'm gonna do it a little bit low and slow, just like I would cook pulled pork. So hopefully you guys can watch this. There's so many videos on YouTube, you know, potentially on TraegerGrills.com as well, on the app, as well. I don't want to say that, or just go back and watch this video again. But this to me, what we're doing here is we're tying this off because we want this to cook evenly the entire way through. When you break down a tenderloin, of course, like any other cut of meat, it's not all going to be even and be one layer, but we want it to all cook to perfect temp the entire way through. We don't want one person to get a medium piece of cooked beef and then another person to get a well done piece. So that's why, you know, part of why we do this. And the other thing is, it's just not made in one kind of cylinder, of course. So we need to make sure that we do that. A little bit of this has been tucked underneath here, and we're just creating something that's one even piece. It's gonna cook evenly, and we want it to stay together that way. That's why we're tying it off. You can do this about 13,000 ways. And I'm gonna do it one way tonight. If you do it a different way, awesome. But just make sure you tie this beef off. If you've never done this before, highly recommend that you try to figure out what it works best for you, what's your favorite method. There's no wrong answers with that, but just find out what works best for you. So we're gonna go in here just about an inch through. We're gonna leave a little bit of slack on this side. We're gonna go here, under, just like we're tying a shoe. We're gonna change this actually. I'm on the wrong side. This is the problem when you do something to camera. You can potentially start on the opposite side, and that's what I did. But you have to be honest with your mistakes. That's what I said I was gonna do. I was gonna be honest on Traeger Live. So we're gonna go like this, because you know why? It's because I'm not left-handed. I was just about to tie a shoe left-handed. Would not have worked out well for me. So, like I said, leave a little bit of slack. We're gonna go one like we're tying a shoe like that, and a second time under. Tie that off. Then tie your shoe again, so tie a knot. That's called the butcher's knot. Easy, simple. So leave yourself some slack on here because we're gonna need the slack as we pull through. We're gonna try to not knock over this beer, most importantly. The olive oil, second importantly. So we're gonna tie knots like this, but what you wanna do, now hopefully, can you see this, Mark, if I show this? So you're gonna tie it this way. So instead of tying it this way, bring your hand around the opposite way and make a loop. Under this, we're gonna go in with here. Again, same distance. Bring it up to the middle and tie it off. There's one. And we're just gonna keep doing the process all the way down this cut of roast. So really, like I said, hand like this, make a loop, go down, help it down if you need.
We got a couple questions here.
Ask the questions, because this is going to take me a minute, but I really wanted to show you guys how easy that this is. So we're gonna do this. I think often this is kind of skirted over, and people don't do it because it does take some time. But I really wanted you guys to see the process so that you know how to do it, and you know how simple it's going to be when you make your tenderloin this year. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
So with that, why do you tie it?
So the reason that you want it, so the question is, why do you tie this off? You want to tie it so that it cooks properly and stays together. It is going to, you know, some of this beef, once you get to the tail end, once you get to certain parts of the actual beef, you can even see this right here. This piece right here is obviously not the same height, not the same distance, nothing like this. So we're bringing it together and we're tying it off so it stays as one single piece. That means it's going to cook properly the entire way through. It's going to hold together, and it's honestly it's a beautiful presentation as well. So it does look beautiful at the table, and it helps it to cook properly. Most importantly, it cooks properly. It also looks great.
So on that, where is a good place that you can get quality beef from? And someone was also asking Tenderloin Wagyu from Snake River Farms. And if that's too expensive, you can do a prime cut or a choice cut as well.
Yes. So Snake River Farms is, if I can get beef, I get it from Snake River Farms. I love their beef. The product is incredible. I highly recommend that you invest in your beef. At the end of the day, you want it to taste as great as possible. You want to make sure you're elevating the farmer. You want to make sure that you're cooking something that's incredibly delicious. If you have access to Wagyu, congratulations, that's a delicious thing. Absolutely enjoy. I like prime cut as well. Really, I just want to know exactly where my beef is coming from and you know, what it's being fed and how it's being treated. So just, you know, do your due diligence, do a little bit of research. The nice thing is with the internet, you can really learn anything that you want about the farming practices, about sustainability, about making sure that cow is being taken care of properly, that has a great life, and at the end of the day, your food is going to taste better for it.
So another question here. Does it matter what kind of coffee roast that you use?
Great question, and I love experimenting with that. Yes, absolutely. You know, all coffee is very, very different. I had coffee this morning that tasted almost like strawberries. Some people would love that, some people would hate that. But coffee is a very unique thing. So I think experimenting with coffee, in specific coffee, is really fun. I mean, if all you have access to is Folgers in your kitchen, use that. But I mean, if you have access to a beautiful local roastery who's doing very unique coffee, I would always recommend supporting them. They're doing great things. So we're right at the end. So you can see we went all the way to the end, basically even, other than right here because I was talking too much, so forgive that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave ourselves quite a bit of slack. And we're gonna cut this off here. And then we're done with this. So we're done with our top side. We're gonna flip it. It's gonna go on the bottom side. And this is quick and easy, basically painless. So what we're gonna do is just go down the center here, just lift up, making sure to pull tight. Just like this. And then keep going, pulling in the reverse. And you can see what that's doing. So that's tying this off the opposite way so that it's being tied off both ways. Keeping it beautiful, tight. It's like a nice little package. A deliciousness package, if you will. And what we're gonna do is basically, once this is done, we're gonna tie this off and then we're gonna flavor this up. So I know that this took a minute or two. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. I appreciate you watching. I think it's important. I think that often, like I said, these are the small little things that sometimes get, you know, we can get in our head about it and we can think, I couldn't do that. That's a chefy thing. It's a butchery thing to do. It's really not. It's super simple. You know, and it allows you to be in control of the entire cooking process from start to finish. And that, at the end of the day, is what I love. I want to be in control of the entire cooking process of what I've done. So we left this little piece on here, like you can see. So I'm just going to get rid of this, a little bit of the slack here. We left this little piece because what we want to do is tie it off one final time with the slack from either side. Just a nice, easy knot.
Two questions.
Go ahead.
To do with the beef.
And then you're good to go. That's it.
So the question is, do you always go with grass-fed beef? And they said correct, so I'm assuming it's a question about grass-fed beef. Is that better? And someone asked, wouldn't mesquite be better for beef? As in pellets. So
do I always go with grass-fed beef? Typically, yes. But you know, I want more than just grass-fed. I think that that's a good starting point. I think I want to know how the cows have been treated. Like, partner with a local farmer. I think that, you know, doing your homework, doing your due diligence, making sure that you actually build a relationship with your farmer, with your local fisherman, you know, with the guy who you buy cheese from. I think it's so good because, you know, right now is more important than ever to support local and to support people who are doing great things. So yes, grass-fed for sure, but also just, you know, get in touch with people who are doing something really great, both locally and nationally. Snake River Farms, like I said, they're an incredible company. They're really worth looking into. You know, when I have access to that beef, I use it. Unfortunately, right now I'm on the east coast of Canada, so I may or may not have access to it as consistently as possible, but I love to partner with local farmers who are doing really great things. Mesquite works beautifully with beef. I love mesquite with beef. I just chose cherry because I also really love cherry. It's such a versatile wood, beautiful in a million different ways. There's no wrong answer. Really, it's what your personal preference is, for sure. But I chose cherry today. So we're gonna hit this with olive oil. We're gonna move on here a little bit quick, Mark. Might be a couple questions, but that's okay. So we're gonna do that. Go heavy with the olive oil. Don't be scared. You want that because we're gonna get our rub to sit on this.
So we got a question here about preparation for venison.
And then on with the rub.
How would you prepare venison differently, and specifically, say, a moose tenderloin? Would you do anything different?
I do it the exact same way. The exact same way. Cooking process, cooking time may change, but in terms of flavor, this would be lights out with moose. Lights out with venison. Obviously, they're different proteins, so they need to be treated differently, of course. But in terms of process, in terms of tying it off, in terms of breaking it down so that it's easy to work with, and then this rub itself, I use this as a multi-purpose rub. So I use it in about a million different ways. There's obviously rubs. If you go to TraegerGrills.com, you can check out what they have available for rubs on the site. Incredible. There's rubs that you can make and experiment for yourself. No wrong answers for sure. So this is done right now. So basically, we're good to go. We're ready to hit the grill with this. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'll be right back in a second. If you have a question while I'm doing that, then I can answer. If not, I'm just gonna wash my hands.
What's your all-time favorite holiday dish? Like, hands down. Like, not necessarily fancy, something your mom made.
All-time favorite, my mom made. Well, my mom is incredible because all of our moms are incredible. My mom didn't cook a lot. We did turkey a lot. I have a love-hate relationship with turkey now because often the turkey wasn't as juicy and moist and beautiful as it could have been. But I love dessert at the holidays. I love things like this at the holidays. At the end of the day, I love connecting with a good community at the table and sharing food, whatever that is. If I'm cooking, often it's something like this. Dauphinoise potatoes are great, beautiful thin cut potatoes that are cooked in cream and cheese, and it's just so good and so rich and incredible on the grill. But for me, it's all about the sides and then having that beautiful showstopper of a main. So we're gonna put this is gonna go over here and move this guy, and then
we got 2 more questions about the beef tenderloin.
Perfect. And I'm coming back in with one. Hit me.
So, is beef tenderloin the most expensive cut of beef? And how many pounds is that specific tenderloin?
So, is beef tenderloin the most expensive cut of beef? That's a good question. It depends on where you're getting it from, the butcher you're buying it from, and the quality that you're buying. So often, yes. Prime rib, of course, is quite costly as well if you're doing a bone, full bone-in rack prime rib. They're both, an investment for sure. It's challenging to say whether it's the most expensive just because that's relative to the time of year. Right now, tenderloin is quite costly where I am, but it might be more cost effective where you are, because I'm not sure where you are, but it is right now. What was the other question?
The other question is how many pounds is that tenderloin? And add on to that, would you ever season it, put it in the fridge overnight?
Season and put it in the fridge overnight, absolutely. Incredible. I would always season beef ahead of time, for sure, if you can. Of course, we're not doing it right now because of only so many process. Oh, we can only do so many things in an hour. You don't need to do it. This rub is heavily seasoned, which I love too. Seasoning it in advance, of course, it's going to bring out some of that moisture. It's going to allow it to get crispier on the outside, and of course, it's going to take in some of that seasoning as well. So, it's the best thing to do for sure. Really, when you cook any kind of steak, is season in advance. And obviously, we want to make sure this is at room temperature before we start the cooking process. And often recipes will say room temperature, 20 minutes, half an hour. Room temperature is really somewhere around an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. So you want to give it that time to rest, to relax, to hang out on the counter before we even start with the cooking process. It's well worth it. Like I said, especially when you're investing in this. So.
And how many pounds is it?
And how many pounds? This would be about, I'm trying to do the kg to pound math. This was 2.5 kgs.
So 5 pounds.
5 pounds. Perfect. So we are, oh mama. So we're just gonna slice a couple here, and then I'm gonna slice more later. Look at that. Can you, hi camera. Wow. So this was cooked. Oh my goodness. So that was cooked to, I can't even tell you how good that is. That taking in that smoke, taking the time to prepare that properly, allowing it to come to room temperature. This was cooked, like I said, it's to temperature, not time. So my preference with something like this cut is medium rare. I love medium rare. I think that for me, that's my preference. If you like medium, no worries. If you like rare, no worries. Just cut down the cook time. So this was on the Traeger for about 45 minutes at 425 degrees. I checked the temp. It was at 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So I pulled it off because the residual heat that is in this cut of meat, this roast itself, is gonna raise as it rests. So you wanna pull it off early so that has enough time to raise up to temperature, and in that it's gonna result in the most juicy, beautiful cut of tenderloin you've ever had in your life. Part of that is the resting process in and of itself, because those juices relax and they remain in the roast. Make sure you rest something like this for at least 15 minutes before you carve it. Give it that time, 15 minutes at least, and then carve it away. So we're gonna move on quickly because I know we're running out of time. And I don't wanna run out of time because I wanna make sure that we make this dish.
So with that minimum 15, what's the longest you would let it rest?
Longest I'd let it rest is probably 20, 25 minutes, I would say. Because at that point, you don't want it to be cold. You don't want it to rest for 45 minutes, something like that. For me, I still want it to be beautiful and warm. So cut that in the middle, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, carve that, you should be good to go. And if you're thinking well in advance, you can plan all of your sides around that to make sure that everything is still, timed properly and everything's still beautiful and hot when you serve it. So the last thing that we're gonna do is something that I absolutely love, that I know you love, because everybody loves mashed potatoes. How could you not love mashed potatoes? But we're gonna do them a little differently tonight. So we are gonna do some roasted garlic mash. If you've never cooked garlic before and roasted it, I highly recommend it. I think that what you should do is batch cook these, if I can recommend that. Don't just do one, do 4, 5, 15 if you want. They store beautifully. And most of the things that we're cooking have garlic in them, really. Like, how many things don't have garlic? So if you can have that roasted garlic, beautiful flavor in that dish, why not? So we're just gonna take off, sometimes that happens, no worries. We're just gonna take off the end. So basically you can see I hardly took anything off, but I'm just opening up the bulb itself so that the cloves are exposed. We're gonna grab this. So the great thing, what I love to do about this, we're gonna wrap this on here. I love to make these when I've got the grill going, something else is in there. So it's a great thing to do to multitask, to take advantage of all of the time possible. Pop these on the grill. So a little bit of foil, a little bit of olive oil, just a nice drizzle of olive oil on top of that. Hit that with salt and pepper, just a bit. And then wrap that up. That is gonna go on the grill for about 30 to 35 minutes. You just wanna check it, keep an eye on it, but 30, 35 minutes, and that's gonna be good to go. And you're gonna be left with a garlic bulb that looks like this. And let me tell you, oh wow, this is next level deliciousness right here. So what you want to do is grab a board, out with the cloves, grab a fork, pull that down here, get your cloves out. And then mash that. Look at that. It's a paste at this point, but it's beautiful. The roasting process makes it taste very light, very elegant. It's very, very delicious. So we're gonna go in with 2 of these because I like extra roasted garlic. My recipe probably says 1, but I'm eating these, which means I'm gonna do exactly what I want. And I'm gonna get another one. I'm also gonna feed Mark too because he's been very helpful today. He's asking questions, he's helping with the cameras. He's doing a lot, which we really appreciate. Often the people who aren't necessarily in front of the camera, they're behind, don't necessarily get the acknowledgement. So I will say, if you guys are in the comments right now, thank Mark, but more importantly, thank the Traeger team who's put on these incredible Traeger Kitchen lives literally for most of this year. Of course, they're going to be back in the new year, but they've done so much work behind the scenes to make sure that you guys have access, you know, not just to me, of course, to Chad, to Tim, to everybody else who's doing these Traeger Kitchen lives throughout the year. So much work goes into it, so thanks to them. So we're gonna go on with our potatoes now. So, let's
just asked if the meat was room temperature when you were eating it.
Was room temperature? Mm-hmm. Still warm. Still warm.
And what temperature on the grill would you roast the garlic?
Roast the garlic, I would say if you can go in at about 375 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll be good to go. If you want to increase it, that's okay. You know, it's like I said, I often do it. I think it's a great move to do something like this alongside something else on the grill. Maximize the entire space of the grill. If you're just cooking, you know, mac and cheese in a cast iron pan, why not toss 3, 4, 5, 6 different of these garlic cloves on there at the same time, put them in the fridge, they last forever, and you're good to go.
This is a good one. So someone was asking, they buy the already peeled garlic in a big bag. Can they do the same thing with the roasted garlic that you just did?
I have never done that, is the honest question. So I'm going to say yes with a question mark because I'm not 100% sure, but I can't see why you wouldn't be able to do that.
What's the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, it's the first time I forgot to do that. I have to ask the question. You can't hear Mark. I can hear Mark. The question was, if you bought store-bought garlic that was peeled, could you pop that in and do the same process outside of the peel? I can't see why that wouldn't work, but I've never done that. So maybe if you guys want to experiment, maybe I'll experiment actually. But if you experiment, let people know for sure, because that's a good thing. Of course, you know, if you have access to garlic that's in garlic cloves, that's typically how I buy my garlic. It's typically probably how a lot of us buy our garlic. So that seems to be the best move when you have access to it. So we're gonna go in these beautiful mashed potatoes. We've got Yukon Gold potatoes here, for those who are wondering. I love Yukon Gold. I think it's just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite potatoes. We live in a potato part of the world here on the east coast of Canada, so I know a lot of you folks in the US may or may not have heard of PEI potatoes, but that is in our backyard. Prince Edward Island is a beautiful place, and I highly recommend that you look it up online if you haven't. In with the garlic. Lots of garlic. Nice and beautiful. So we're going in with the garlic. Now, lemon zest. Again, beautiful and fragrant. And it's just going to give that nice citrus kick to our potatoes. You don't need a lot. A lot goes a long way with lemon zest, let me tell you. Cream. Ooh. That's the good stuff right there. Butter. We're celebrating. It's the holidays. Calories don't count. Butter, cream. Ooh, yes. Oh, look at that. And then the last thing I like to do, I'm just going to move this here for 1 second. Grab some chives. Adds a beautiful freshness. Just chop your chives here. Get them nicely minced.
We got another grill question about potatoes.
Perfect.
Could you put the potatoes on the grill, smoke them, then mash them?
10,000%.
What's the question?
So the question was, could you put the potatoes on the grill, smoke them, and then use them in mashed potatoes, then mash them and put them in mashed potatoes? Absolutely, you could, 100%. If often for me, I think about how, cooking is like building a house. So you want to build your foundation, you want to make sure that you're building flavor from the ground up. So if the first thing that you can do is take those raw ingredients and smoke them, do it. If you can cook them, low and slow and add that beautiful super, if you've got a grill like I do, the Ironwood 885, and you can add the super smoke option on there, do it. Always. But it's all about adding that unique flavor to it. So really anything that you could do in a traditional oven or on a stovetop, if you can do that in the grill, do it. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, we made we did a beautiful turkey roulade on the Traeger. Mark and I and another friend, and we made who's part of our crew, so we're allowed to socially distance together because we're in the same bubble, I should say. We made a turkey roulade on the grill, beautiful, stuffed with pancetta, leeks, garlic, incredible. And I wanted gravy, so I made the gravy on the grill, because why not? It takes in all that beautiful grill flavor, the smoke, everything. Do everything on your grill. It's definitely worth it. So we're gonna give this a nice mix. Some people love chunky mashed potatoes. I love whipped potatoes. That's my preference. Season this up with salt. So our potato water was seasoned with salt. We're gonna go in with a little more. Potatoes and salt, best of absolute friends. A little bit of black pepper.
So half and half or whipping cream?
So that was whipping cream because we are celebrating. It is the holiday season. We're pulling out all the stops. What half and half works great too. My preference is whipping cream because if you're gonna make mashed potatoes, why not make them as luscious as possible? So give this a nice whisk. Basically, at this point, you can whisk this to the point that you want. If you want it very, very beautiful, luscious, and whisked all together, that's great. If you want it to be a little bit more textured and chunky, no worries. It's really, you choose your own adventure when it comes to this. So we're gonna stop about right there for me. We're gonna grab our bowl. We're gonna find a spoon. We are gonna go into this beautiful serving tray. Mashed potatoes and steak or any beef to me are just perfect together. Like a match made in heaven. These potatoes we're not quite done with, but we're getting close. So we are going to. Mark, does that look like a portion for you and me?
I think you're good.
Perfect. So we're going to share this portion later. I'm so sorry that you guys can't taste this with us, but you can recreate these recipes all over on TraegerGrills.com and on the Traeger app. What we're going to do here, move this to the side. A few more chives. Beautiful. On top of the chives. And the most important bit. And tell me who you cook for wouldn't be happy with you when they were served these mashed potatoes. Just incredible. Absolutely so, so delicious. They're so beautiful, so light, so buttery and cream. Like, this is a treat. This is an absolute treat. It's made for the holiday season. Absolutely no question at all. So we're gonna get rid of this here. And we're gonna plate this up, and it's time to eat. And while I do that, if you have any questions, Mark, I'll answer them. If not, we're just gonna hang out for 2 seconds.
Yeah, we got some wrap-up questions here.
Perfect. What do we got?
So, what part of Canada are you from?
Yes?
Yeah, answer that one first.
So what part of Canada am I from? I am from a beautiful town called Moncton, New Brunswick. It is on the east coast of Canada. It is very close to the Northumberland Strait, so we're close to the water, lots of trees. It's very kind of, just, very, small population here. Kindest people that you'll ever meet. So, I am very, very fortunate to be from where I am and have learned that, of course, over the past few months, having been here. So it's been great to be here. If you've never been to the East Coast of Canada, when you can travel again, highly recommend you come see us, come check it out.
So, any other Christmas/holiday dishes that you'd recommend for this time of year besides what you just made?
Absolutely. So I mentioned it quickly, turkey roulade. Turkey roulade is a great dish. If you want to cook that beautiful turkey, I grew up eating turkey, so turkey was part of the holiday season for me. If turkey is part of the holiday season for you, but you're cooking for a smaller crowd, I think doing a turkey roulade is a really great option. It's super delicious. It's a showstopper kind of dish, but you serve a lot less people. So, you're basically what you're doing is you're taking a turkey breast, you're pounding it down, you're stuffing that, rolling it, trussing it exactly like you learned how to do tonight, and then you're cooking it on your grill. So that's a great option. I think fish is also a really great option. A beautiful, sustainable salmon. Really mix it up. Honestly, I have a friend who they do ramen for Christmas for their holiday Christmas. They do beautiful homemade ramen, pork broth that's cooked for hours and hours and hours, and it's just a tradition in their family. So I think it's specifically this year things are a little bit different, so why not roll with that and do something a little outside of the box where we're feeding less people, but we really want to have fun at the table.
Cool. Will there be more seasons of restaurants on the edge?
That's a great question. I would love to be able to answer that question. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question. So the question was will there be more seasons of Restaurants on the Edge. Restaurants on the Edge is my show on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Not just because I'm on the show, although it might seem like that. It's such a beautiful story of hope and resilience with restaurant owners and with folks all over the world who are doing something unique in the food world. It's food, it's travel, it's excitement, and specifically, one of the episodes in Northern Ontario, we were able to involve Traeger in that. So there's some Traeger grills, beautiful smoked food, incredible story of a guy who learned how to make barbecue in and make traditional barbacoa the way that barbecue was created. So I really recommend it for sure. But who knows when or if we'll make more, because it all depended on all of us being able to travel again.
So as you're plating this up,
yes,
what would you say your signature dish is?
My signature dish. Wow. So the question is, what is my signature dish? That's a very hard question to answer. I don't know if I have one, but I know that lobster, growing up on the east coast of Canada, lobster was such a steady diet for us, still is. And we try not to take it for granted, but we might, because it's very affordable here. Because it's, we're from where lobster is from. Literally about 15 minutes from us, Mark, I think, there's the world's biggest lobster statue and the world's biggest lobster festival. So, I cook with lobster a lot. My favorite way to do that is to have it and then grill it on the grill, flesh side down for a few minutes, really, really high heat, let it get nice and crispy and golden, flip that over, let it cook through, baste it in butter, garlic, chives, lemon, some chili, and then serve that it's absolutely out of sight. Maybe that's my signature dish. I don't know, but lobster for sure. So we're gonna carve this up. We got one of these little strings here hanging out. So we're gonna carve this up. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you make this dish for your friends and family, or whoever you're able to serve this year, people will absolutely love you. Look how incredible that looks. Cooked through perfectly. Absolutely. Don't forget to take your strings off here like I just did. But at the end of the day, it's going to be delicious. So the last thing I would do is serve this up. A little bit of sea salt on here. A little finishing salt. We're going to use these lemons. Same lemons that we used for the zest. Making sure that we're not wasteful. And nice little bit of citrus. Absolutely is incredible on top of this. And then you're good to go at this point. If you want to add a little bit of greens, it's what we're actually going to do here right now, because why not? You want to grab here. Beautiful. I always forget something. I do. It's too long since I serve people food, and so we want to serve this up with little greens. Can I tell you this right now, Mark? Because you know this. You and I have done this enough. Food that looks better tastes better. You with your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. So you want to make sure that you plate your food so that it looks incredible. It's important. There's a reason restaurants spend a lot of time making sure that your food looks beautiful when it comes to the table. Taking that extra step, going that extra mile will absolutely, subconscious level, will make your food taste better again, because it looks more beautiful, it's more inviting, and also we want to really put our 100% our A game into the food we serve. Definitely during the holiday season. Take a little time. You got a little flat leaf parsley, that's all I'm doing here because it's what I have access to in the fridge. So a little bit of flat leaf parsley on here. A little bit of green, a little bit of color helps this to pop. You can already see from the overhead camera that this looks better as it is. And then you're good to go. That is an incredible dish. You serve these potatoes, serve this tenderloin up, couple other your favorite sides. People will absolutely love you. This is an incredible dish for the holiday season.
So last question, just before you sign off. What is on your Christmas menu this year? What are you making for Christmas dinner?
What am I making for Christmas dinner? You know what? I think, not to repeat myself, but I think I'm going to make lobster this year. I think, but no, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to make a turkey roulade. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a turkey roulade. I just changed my mind live on Traeger Kitchen Live. I'm going to make a turkey roulade. I'm going to stuff that with pancetta, with leeks, with garlic, with fennel, and roll that up. Do that on the grill. Let it get nice and smoked, or probably cold smoke, or probably super smoke that, 185 degrees, super smoke it for a couple hours, let it take in that flavor, and then finish it off in a braise of stock, so turkey stock and bourbon. Let that cook all together. It will absolutely taste incredible. I've done it before. I've done it for Mark. Did you like it when I did it?
I died.
He's saying yes. So that's what we're gonna do. That's the last question. However, it is Traeger Kitchen Live. It is the last Traeger Kitchen Live. That means we need to celebrate with a bang. We're gonna grab a little glass here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this year. Thank you for supporting Traeger Grills. Thank you for supporting community, most importantly. Thank you for spending time at the grill with the people who are in your life and with the people who you are fortunate enough to share the table with during this particular season. It means a lot. Community at the table will make our lives so much richer. And cooking for the people that you love is such an incredible joy, and it's really an honor to serve people at the table. I think this year has taught us that we really love to be with the people that we love at the table, and it made it especially more significant and important in our lives. So thank you for spending time with me tonight. I hope you guys have an incredible holiday season with you and yours. We'll see you in the new year in 2021. That sounds like the future, but it's not. It's like 2 weeks away. And we'll see you in 2021. Thank you guys. You're awesome. We will be hanging out with Chad over at Traeger Grills Instagram in about 30 minutes. So if you want to hang out there with us for a nightcap, we're going to talk all things barbecue, all things holiday. You know Chad, he's the absolute best. You guys are amazing. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you soon.